Welcome to Simply Bitcoin, the channel that breaks down all the daily Bitcoin news from Twitter, the daily fail, the meme review, software releases, and the websites by plebes. Drop us a like and subscribe. All right, let's dive into the numbers. Here we go.
Black Moody Dashboard.
Okay, we're currently at a block height of 663,898. Current Bitcoin price, 29,000.
Is that an all-time high?
No.
Oh,
Not an all-time high, unfortunately. I've already been above this. Chain rewrite days, 607, and the total lightning capacity, 1,057.88 BTC.
regardless of whether it was an all-time high or not, the numbers are looking amazing. So shout out to Bitcoin. Phil, it's time for
the daily fail. All right, our daily fail is Mr. Mike Novogratz. What coin has the best chance of winning payments? Lots of contenders. And he goes on to list this, this total crap. I never really, you never really talk about him or anything. He's an interesting type of cheerleader. He's sometimes has good takes. Most of the time they're not. Don't get me wrong, but he's definitely nobody that I pay attention to. I kind of see his act as like the act of a court jester so in Bitcoin. But I just think that, just to go to that tweet though, what I don't like about these things is that it creates the narrative that these other objects are somehow equivalent to Bitcoins. And the idea that somehow payments, this part of money is somehow up for grabs by a different token. Why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. Anyways, it's just a garbage take.
Absolutely. And that's why we mention the Lightning Network capacity every day. I think that the Lightning Network is just so much superior than all those other methods.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, because Bitcoin is just that much. Bitcoin has that much more hash rate, which means it's that much more immutable, right? So why would you use something less secure to make a payment when you could just use a Venmo or a Cash App? And if it's a big payment, you're not going to mind waiting 10 minutes for a confirmation, right? Mm-hmm. Actually, you're going to feel better about that than using a significantly less power or strong blockchain. Right. So you're going to use Bitcoin, right? Because Bitcoin, even if you put the 10 minutes aside, the 10-minute confirmation time, if you compare, that website, how many confirmations, and it does comparisons between the different cryptocurrencies. Yep. Bitcoin is far ahead above the rest. Right. So it's just a terrible take, man. I used to follow him when I first got into the space. I used to follow him, and I unfollowed him when he started giving all those bad takes, right? So yeah, I agree with you. He's a jester, man.
And not only that, before we dive into something else, just to talk about fast payments, okay? What was it? I used Bitcoin a couple of days ago, and I don't remember if it was to buy stickers or something else. I don't even remember what it was. But on the BTC Pay server, I made the payments, okay? And it's in less than, in less than 10, 12 seconds. The second it sees it, that it goes on the blockchain, at that point, the transaction starts to go through. So it really doesn't matter, these people that pretend that they need these instantaneous payments, when you pay anything with your credit card or Visa, there is no instant settlement. That's not what's happening, okay? You're not having instant settlement at the terminal. Nobody even, what I mean? Nobody even told you that was even a thing until Bitcoin came along, People never even realized that none of that is instant settlement.
That's the crazy part, right? This idea that it's Bitcoin is instant. It really is instant. It's whatever, but it's the settlement that takes a little bit of time. But even then, it's exactly, it's so
still
right.
Faster than the banking system.
100%. The banking system, it takes 30 days, I think, for credit cards. Right. So if you're the merchant, if you're actually getting paid, Bitcoin is the fastest, especially for big amounts, man. You can get paid $1 billion transaction. It takes 10 minutes. Where else could you do that?
It can't be taken back from you either. Okay. That's the other thing with credit card payments and stuff like that. You can get this stuff taken back from you. There's chargebacks.
Amen.
Anyways, okay, sorry.
Amen. Phil, it's time for
The Daily Meme Review.
all right. Matthew McConaughey reference.
Oh, nice.
It looks like it's a meme from the movie Interstellar. Let's check it out. I have not seen it.
Mountains. The waves.
Oh, shit.
Brand Doyle, back to the Ranger now. Back here now. Brand, get back here now! We do not have time. The second wave is coming. We're in the middle of the swell.
I got it.
Go.
Okay. Really well done. I'm impressed with that meme. Usually when they take a movie meme, for some reason it feels cheap. This one totally did it. So, Bill, I'm gonna give that an 8.7. What about you?
Nice. Okay, I'm going with 8.
Okay,
Well, I
interesting.
still thought it was. I mean, it's still a good meme and everything, but I just. So why'd you give it an 8.7?
Matthew McConaughey's pretty. I like him. I like him as an actor.
Good guy.
I like it. I like the movie Interstellar. And it really fit that narrative really well, right? That when they're in that other planet and the huge wave scene, and I thought that was really clever. So man, it was really, and it gave and it describes exactly what happens, right? Especially with noobs, they get totally wrecked. And I thought it was clever, right? So that's why I gave it an 8.7. Why'd you give it an 8?
I went with the 8. So okay, so yeah, Matthew McConaughey's well known. I think that a lot of those elements are for people that have already been in the space that are seeing it. So I think that this is kind of like, it's a good meme for Bitcoiners, but not necessarily in terms of like getting people to necessarily question and come on board, or question and decide, hey, maybe I need to start holding some Bitcoin.
That is actually a really good point. I totally am blinded to that, because I guess I'm on the other side of the fence, but that is a really good point. It's very hard to understand if you're coming from a new perspective. Yeah. You're like, what the hell does that mean? You don't get
exactly. It. Like, what does all this stuff mean?
Like, what is the wave? I don't get it. What's going on? But that's very true. It's
Why
definitely it's an inside meme. It's an inside. That was a good one. It's an inside meme. It's definitely an inside meme. Phil, it's time for
the Daily News, sponsored by Crypto Cloaks.
All right, everybody. Our news for today. We're gonna start with some important but not so positive news. Right? News doesn't have to always be positive, but the U.S. Treasury hits BitGo with sanction violations on non-custodial wallets. They settled for $98,000 and change for 183 apparent violations of sanctions program. Complaint complains that BitGo should have done IP address screening. This article right here goes more into details about exactly what violations they, exactly what they did wrong, right? Basically, what the U.S. government was complaining and what they charged BitGo was, it's also a warning to other exchanges, but the Treasury wrote that there were 183 apparent violations of the sanctions program, adding up to over 9,000 transactions. They retained the status of apparent as accusations are based on IP addresses from which the users access the hot wallets of the platform. The Treasury says the BitGo screens all accounts, including hot wallet accounts, against OFAC special designated nations and blocked persons list. Right. So the U.S. government has some nations that it has sanctions against, and apparently BitGo violated those sanctions when they allowed people from those nations, those specific nations, to access the non-custodial wallets of BitGo. Phil, I see this as an escalation, right? And there's a really good tweet, there's a really good thread by Coinbase, essentially kind of talking about the problem. We reported this to you on Simply Bitcoin as soon as it came out, but these are these are Coinbase's concerns. But I'm just going to read the last tweet. It says the bottom line is that exchanges will need to collect the name and address for anyone that you send crypto or receive crypto from for any transactions worth over $3,000. So, you could just connect the dots between the two. The U.S. government is trying to impose the same regulations that they have on the traditional financial system, and they're trying to impose those same regulations on Bitcoin or crypto. But we only talk about Bitcoin on the show. So on Bitcoin, obviously we don't agree with those KYC requirements. We feel like it's just going to force people, to be honest with you, just to stay on the Bitcoin network. Governments are really stuck in between a rock and a hard place. They can't really, it's different, right? With cash, you're kind of stuck, right? You can't carry around a hoard of cash. You can't just store your value in cash. There's no reason why not to store your value in Bitcoin. And Phil, if I just wanted to pay you directly a large sum, I could just pay you directly. It's not like cash. How am I going to do that with cash? So I think the way that you described it before is that they're trying to impose the regulations that they impose on the traditional system onto Bitcoin, and it just doesn't work, right? But this just kind of gives you a glimpse into where this is going, this regulation, right? We're glad that they didn't do a full ban on self-custody wallets. We felt that was ridiculous if they did do that, but that was quite a scare. And actually, 4 congressmen earlier on this year did write a letter to Steve Mnuchin and the U.S. Treasury, kind of warning them not to do that because it would just kill all innovation into Bitcoin. And honestly, it's kind of a violation of a couple U.S. amendments as well, right? So, Phil, what are your thoughts on this KYC nonsense, man? And we're gonna cover this on Simply Bitcoin. This is just gonna keep on happening next year. We're gonna be on top of it, but I suspect that this is just the beginning of the battle to come. Phil, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's just a lot of escalation. It's exactly what you said at the beginning, right? They're escalating, and look, at the end of the day, what's that saying, right? The long arm of the law. Like, why do you call it the long arm of the law? Well, at least for me, in my eyes, it's called that because of how far it reaches, and they are absolutely going to use every single trick, everything that they have. Okay, they are going to throw at it. But again, they're not inventing anything new. These are all existing regulations for existing types of assets. And look, it's like I've said before, they're just forcing us to build out the ecosystem. At some point, okay, there's going to come a point where many of us value Bitcoin and many of us hold Bitcoin. What is going to stop us from transacting, like you said, with each other at that point? And not only that, but I don't have to carry around some insane, amount of money that I could be, murdered or kidnapped for. It's all done digitally, and we can both do a transaction. Don't even have to meet. We don't
even have to meet. We don't need to know each other's names, and we can transact freely. So that's right. I completely agree, Phil. I think good
luck to them.
Yeah,
they're going to try, and it's going to be painful, but they're going to lose.
I completely agree. They will not win this, and they will not win this for a very simple reason, which is you can't stop the internet, dude. You just can't. You can't do it. It's everyone who's ever tried, right? Every single industry that's ever tried to
flare, man, a solar flare.
Yeah, I guess, right? They'll come.
I love it when people bring that up. Oh, what happens if the power? You know what I mean?
The world has much bigger problems if the power goes out. I'll just say that.
Exactly.
Right? So yeah, man, it's this is the beginning, guys. This is the beginning. Hold on to your pants, right? But most importantly, hit that subscribe button because we will cover it on Simply Bitcoin, and you'll always get the news here first. We covered this 3 days ago as soon as the news dropped, but we kind of want to end the year with some awesome news, right? We did cover this earlier that Bitcoin was on the verge of overtaking Berkshire Hathaway. Well, guess what? The rat poison squared, aka Bitcoin, has passed Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway market cap. That's freaking awesome. This guy did call, for anyone who's confused, why the hell did I just call Bitcoin rat poison squared? Warren Buffett called Bitcoin rat poison squared. Well, guess what? He just got some squared rat poison in his face, man. So I don't know what else to say, but it's pretty awesome. That I find it, I find it really ironic that that's the last piece of news for 2020, right? Whoever was writing 2020 was having a great time writing the script, and man, it's just, I just feel good about it. What do you think, Phil?
Yeah, he totally got his ass handed to him. Are you kidding me? Like, and don't get me wrong, he is the greatest investor of all time. He's by far one of the best people to read about. He does give a lot of great advice, but at the end of the day, Bitcoin's market cap has overtaken this company that he's spent at least 30 years, 40 years building minimum.
It's crazy.
And Bitcoin market cap has overtaken it in 11 years.
Yeah, and it's just gonna keep on doing it, man. Look, the Bitcoin is the internet, right? It's the internet's solution to money. And the internet has eaten every single industry it has ever gone after. If you look at Blockbuster and Netflix, if you look at the music industry, if you look at the long distance telecommunications industry, the internet has completely disrupted every single every single industry. So if you think that this is any different, and just because the government is now in the way, right, they have something to lose. If you think that the internet's just not going to completely devour them, you're so wrong, right? Yep. So it's just going to be really fun to see. And, the more the market cap goes higher, the higher the Bitcoin market cap, the more power Bitcoiners are going to get, especially in the halls of Congress that are really paid for by money. It's not so much for the people, but it's gonna be interesting to see. It's gonna be a rocky road, but we'll definitely cover it here first on Simply Bitcoin. And Phil, there's a software release today. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases. All right, so looks like today we have Bisq version 1.5.4 that was released, and that is going to be, we got information to that, down below in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. Guys, that was 2020 Simply Bitcoin.
Oh.
That was our first year. Thank you so much to everybody for sticking around. We really appreciate it. This show wouldn't be anything without you guys. So a lot of love coming from Phil, and of course, Satoshi, the Bitcoin Chicken. If you guys love the episode, give us a little subscribe, give us a like, you know what to do. We'll see you tomorrow on the new year for another episode of Simply Bitcoin. Peace out, everybody. Have a good time.